What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, go ahead and make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Today's episode 1 of Grand Cherokee versus everything. Today we actually have it against my Wrangler. So we're going to do like a quick overview of both builds, kind of let you know what we're working with. Then we're just going to head straight into the trails and see how they compare. So for starters, this is my 2001 Jeep Grand Cherokee on a 6.5-inch Rocklink Pro long arm kit from Iron Rock Off-Road. We have some 35-inch Radar Renegade R7 tires. And basically that's kind of all we've done to it as far as off-road mods go. So it's a pretty mild build. It's nowhere near complete. This is just season 1. Next season will be on the crazy 1-tons, massive tires, all that stuff. So pretty much a mild Grand Cherokee build. And this is my 2008 Jeep Wrangler. It's on a 4-inch Teraflex short arm lift kit, so it doesn't have long arms like the Grand Cherokee does. It's got some black Rhino bead locks, wrapped in 40-inch Nitto trail grapplers. This is less of a mild build, but still not an extreme build as far as Wranglers go. I mean, I have bumpers and recovery points, the Warn winch. It's on Curry axles, front and rear, 2.5-ton steering, and basically that's about it. That wraps up this build. So we're going to see how the Grand Cherokee compares to this Wrangler on the trails. All right, guys, so we're at the first obstacle that we're going to compare the two Jeeps at, and that would be the log course. Basically, just a long course over these logs. However, they're all covered in moss and all that kind of stuff, so they're super, super slick. So we're going to take the Grand Cherokee first, then follow it up with the Wrangler, see how they compare, and take your comments down below which one you think is going to win this episode. Do you think it's going to be the Grand Cherokee or the Wrangler? Comment down below. And I would pretty confidently say that the Grand Cherokee is winning. So the Grand Cherokee did not slip on the logs whatsoever with these Radar tires. It cruised right over them, no issues. The Wrangler also made it over, and the only issue was it slipped a little bit. And now that's not tire pressure or anything like that, because the Grand Cherokee has way more tire pressure in the tires than the Wrangler. The Wrangler's aired down a little bit, the Grand Cherokee is not. So basically, I'm gonna say Grand Cherokee round 1. The next obstacle we're doing is the swamp. The plan is drop in down there where we usually come in, all the way around here. Right here it gets really deep around this turn, then back out the other side. It's pretty far through the mud and ice and everything for the Grand Cherokee, in my opinion. Plus I don't have lockers in it, so I'm not sure how well it's going to do, but I guess we'll see. So now round two, the swamp. I'm gonna give that one to the Wrangler. The Grand Cherokee did really, really well in the swamp, but it did spin tires a lot and we got a little bit caught up. We didn't get stuck, but we got a little bit caught up. So I'm gonna give round two to the Wrangler because it walked straight through the swamp, absolutely no issues. It didn't even slip or spin or get us stuck really at all. The Grand Cherokee was kind of on that like weird border of you might be stuck in a second, but you're good for now. The only thing that might be a little bit different between both runs is there was some ice in there. And I think the Grand Cherokee did a really good job of breaking it up. However, I'm gonna have to give that one to the Wrangler because I think the Wrangler won the swamp one. Now for our final test, I think this is where we're gonna see the winner and the loser. We're gonna test articulation and how much the Jeeps will flex and how they handle going through different obstacles that require a bunch of flex. Now for our final test, I think this is where we're gonna see the winner and the loser. We're gonna test articulation and how much the Jeeps will flex and how they handle going through different obstacles that require a bunch of flex. Now this is a pretty big obstacle in this competition because we're tied 1-1. Whoever wins this wins the competition. So I'm gonna go ahead, we'll take the Jeeps over to where we're planning on flexing them out and everything, and we'll decide the winner there essentially with the final competition, the final obstacle. So comment down below at this point, what do you guys think is gonna win, the Grand Cherokee or the Wrangler? So the next and final test, the one that's going to decide which one of these two Jeeps wins the competition, is going to be articulation. So we have these big ramps here, and I know for a fact we'll be able to max out both Jeeps as long as nothing breaks. We'll be able to back them all up here and see which one will have the most travel, which one will have the most flex, and that'll dictate who wins because we're tied right now. The Wrangler won in the swamp and the Grand Cherokee won on the logs. So we just got to figure out who has more flex, and we've got ourselves a winner. Out. We can't even get it to max out on these hills. Like, this is a pretty big hill. I could probably flex this on the Wrangler tire, no issue. All right, guys, and for the final result of the Wrangler flexing, it also made it to the top, but it was not nearly as, it didn't have nearly as much travel. So the back is starting to lift off the ground here. And as you can see, these control arms are at quite the angle and we're out of travel in the rear. The Grand Cherokee was at the top and still had plenty to go. Now this still is a ton of flex and much more than this Jeep really needs for what we're using it for. But I'm gonna have to give this one to the Grand Cherokee because it did not run out of flex. The tire stayed planted to the ground with no issues. This is basically its max. It's starting to lift tires, it's starting to lose traction because there's no weight on the tires. So I'm gonna have to give this one to the Grand Cherokee. All right, guys, so with the 3 tests, we have ourselves a winner. So the Grand Cherokee won the logs because it didn't slip, the tires gripped perfectly. The Jeep just crossed them with no issues, honestly. The Wrangler, on the other hand, it slipped a little bit, had some troubles, but we still made it over with very little issue. So we're giving that one to the Grand Cherokee. The swamp, the Wrangler walked through much easier, if we're being completely honest. The Wrangler definitely did better in the swamp than the Grand Cherokee. And for flexing, the Grand Cherokee beat the Wrangler so much, it didn't even start to max out versus the Wrangler, which we were at basically the highest you're gonna be able to flex that Wrangler without the tires coming off the ground. So our winner for this competition is definitely gonna be the Grand Cherokee. So this, like I was saying, is just episode 1, season 1. So season 1 is gonna be the Grand Cherokee just like this. So basically a mild Grand Cherokee build versus some pretty cool off-road builds. Season 2 is going to be once this thing's on 1 tons, massive tires, coilovers, all that kind of good stuff. We'll have a season 2. We'll rematch some of the stuff from season 1, and we'll get some new people to have competitions with. So if you guys have any suggestions of what you'd like to see us put the Grand Cherokee up against, go ahead and comment them down below, and we'll do our best to get those kind of competitions on the channel for you guys to watch. Now, if you guys did enjoy this type of video, go ahead and leave a like, a comment. It does help us kind of get an idea of what videos you guys want to see on the channel more. And we'll definitely make more videos like the ones that do well on the channel. If it gets a bunch of likes, we'll know that you guys like that kind of video. And we'll make more content similar to that. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.